Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Wednesday, June the 23rd. We do have the start of the Eastern Conference Finals on Wednesday. We got the Hawks and the Bucks facing off. We're going to cover today's Showdown slate. As always, guys, for Showdown, we're going to just kind of talk through the entire player pool. Really, anyone I expect to, play minutes, I'm going to mention in this video because Showdown is just kind of a different format. It's a different strategy. Even if a guy is only going to play, 8 or 10 minutes, they're viable in a Showdown slate because just random things can happen. A guy can put up, 2 fantasy points per minute in those 8 minutes and be in the winning lineup. So we'll kind of talk through, basically every player that I think is going to get minutes and really hit on the guys I like the most, the top tier guys and the value plays as well. And we'll also talk about some picks I do like over on Prize Picks. Prize Picks, they are the sponsor of today's video, and they're the sponsor of my channel moving forward. We've partnered with Prize Picks. I'm going to be working with them a lot moving forward. If you guys have not checked out Prize Picks, you want to see what they do have to offer, be sure to use promo code NOAH when you do sign up. That will give you a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. So if you do decide to deposit $100, Prize Picks, they will match that, give you an additional $100 to play with, and you can kind of check out the site for yourself, get some action in on tonight's game. Me personally, I don't really enjoy Showdown that much. I've never been a big fan of Showdown. I don't think it's a great way to really be profitable in DFS long term. I prefer to play over on Prize Picks. That's where I've been getting most of my action in for these games on these days where we only have one game, which is pretty much going to be the rest of the season till the end of the year. We're just going to have one game a day moving forward, and I think getting some action on Prize Picks, looking at their projections, taking the over or the under, whichever you prefer, is the way that I like to go. We'll kind of talk about some picks I do like over on Prize Picks. You basically, they have their fantasy projection for every player. You pick, whichever player you like, and you can take the over or the under. And they do, where you can do a 2-pick flex play or a 2-pick power play. You can do up to 5 picks, and it shows you, what the payout is. If you get a certain amount of picks right, what that pays out. So if you guys do want to check out Prize Picks, see what they do have to offer, you can check them out, link down below in the description, or just use promo code NOAH when you do sign up and get that deposit bonus on your first deposit. But let's go ahead and take a look at this Showdown slate. And as the video goes on, guys, we will hop over to Prize Picks and we will talk about some picks I do like there. But before we get started, just hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. As always, I do appreciate that, guys, and be sure to click the notification bell as well, so that way you do get notified every time I upload, and you do get notified every time I go live. I did go live yesterday. I probably will be live once again today, a little bit later than normal. Game starts at 8:30 Eastern tonight, so I'll probably go live around maybe 5:30, 6 Eastern. We'll kind of to see, but I should be live for tonight's slate. Should be live breaking down this slate with you guys and answering your questions as always. But let's start off at the top of the player pool, and we'll just kind of work our way down. You got Giannis and Trae Young as kind of your two elite studs at the top today. Giannis 12-4, Trae Young 11-6. Obviously, these are guys that you're probably going to want to be getting into your lineups. I don't really need to tell you that. I mean, Giannis, so far in the playoffs, he's been super consistent. We haven't seen a ton of massive games from Giannis where he's gone for 80 Draftkings points, but 55, 60, it seems like he's putting that up almost every night. He did have that 1 or 2 bad games in the Brooklyn series. He had 39 DK points in that huge blowout loss, and then they have another disappointing game against Miami, but that was another huge blowout. So far, in the competitive games in the postseason, Giannis has been consistently putting up 55, 60 DK points in close games. This game, I think, has a 7-point spread. We could maybe see some blowouts in this series, but as long as the games do stay close and we do get full minutes from Giannis, he is clearly going to be someone we want to have in our lineups on this Showdown slate. He's obviously, probably he's the top projected player overall. If you can play him at the captain spot, he is definitely a great play at the captain spot. Don't really need to tell you guys that. Maybe Giannis doesn't play as many minutes like we saw in the Milwaukee series. A lot of the Bucks starters were playing massive minutes. Giannis was almost playing the entire game. Drew Holiday was playing 45 minutes. Now that it's a game one and it's not win or go home, you probably see these guys maybe only play 38, 40 minutes, but even 40 minutes from Giannis, he's got massive upside. So love Giannis here. I think he's obviously a great play. Trae Young as well, I think is a really good option too. Now I do prefer Giannis over Trae Young. I just think Giannis probably more safer, has a little bit more upside, but Trae Young I expect plays 38 to 40 minutes. He's been really good in the postseason, has shown a ton of upside. His floor, again, it's not as high as Giannis. Like Trae Young definitely has a somewhat low floor. If he has a bad shooting game like he did in Game 7 of the Philly series, I mean, he can put up 40 DK points. Like we've kind of seen some bad games from Trae Young, but the upside's obviously there. This Milwaukee team, they're pretty good defensively. They have Drew Holiday, who's a really good on-ball defender, and probably is going to give Trae Young a little bit of trouble, but Trae Young's still such a high upside option. He's clearly, right up there with Giannis in terms of best payups on the slate. If I can only pick one, though, I haven't really built lineups yet. If I can only play one of the top two guys between Trae or Giannis, I do lean Giannis on this slate. Then you have Middleton and Drew, but between these two guys, I mean, Middleton has clearly just been better. I don't really need to tell you that. You can look at the game log and see for yourself. Middleton just been way more consistent, has shown more upside. He seems to be more aggressive as well. Like he's taken a lot more shots than Drew Holiday's been. I mean, Drew, I'm a big fan of, but so far in the playoffs, at least for fantasy, like we really haven't seen many good games from Drew Holiday. He had 46 DK points in Game 6 of the Brooklyn or Game 7 or Game 6, of the Brooklyn series. But man, I mean, we haven't seen those 45, 50-point games consistently from Drew Holiday. He's tough to roster right now. I mean, he's going to be lower owned than Chris Middleton. So if you want to go to Drew for the lower ownership, I guess it's fine. But obviously, right now, I think it's clearly Middleton's the guy I clearly feel better about. I mean, he's playing about the same amount of minutes. I mean, both these guys should probably play around 40 minutes. Middleton's just been more aggressive, been more consistent. He's just, he's getting more usage right now. He's taking more shots. So between Middleton or Drew, I prefer Middleton. I still think Drew's in play. But at 9,400, he is pretty expensive, and he just hasn't been that great, so far in the playoffs, at least for his fantasy upside. Now, in a different matchup against Atlanta, maybe we see a good game here from Drew Holiday, but if I have to choose one of Middleton or Holiday, I think I am going to lean Middleton here. Then you have John Collins and Clint Capella. So Clint Capella, I'm kind of interested in today. Last series was a really bad matchup for Clint Capella, having to go up against Joel Embiid, just not the matchup you want to have. I mean, that's probably one of the worst possible matchups you can get as a center against Milwaukee here. I think we do see Capella be better than he was in the Philly series. Now, so far in the playoffs, he hasn't been great at all. Like even in the Knicks series, he really didn't show much upside. He didn't have many good games. He definitely has not produced at the same level in the playoffs that he did in the regular season. But this is still someone that can put up, 15 points, 18 rebounds, can block multiple shots. Like he's got massive upside still. At 8,600, I kind of like Clint Capella as like a lower owned option. I don't think really many people are going to go to him, and he is someone that I do have interest in today. On Prize Picks, his projection right now is only 29 fantasy points. I know a lot of people probably aren't going to take the over there, but I actually kind of do like the over on Clint Capella, 29 fantasy points. I just think this is a better matchup for Capella. I think he's still going to play his normal 35, 36 minutes. He should be able to have more success against Milwaukee and against Brook Lopez than, against Joel Embiid. Just the matchup against Embiid's really tough. Brook Lopez is definitely someone that Capella can kind of beat on down low. I think we do get a double-double from Capella here. I think he probably blocks a few shots. Can easily eclipse 29 fantasy points on Prize Picks, especially with blocks being worth 3 points and that being something that Capella's really good at. It's really easy for him to get over that projection. So I do like the over 29 fantasy points on Clint Capella. And then you have John Collins at 8,400. I think John Collins is going to be probably more popular than Capella, but John Collins is a guy that I don't really play that often. He's someone that I just never get right. It seems like when I do play him, he always does bad, and then when I don't play him, that's when he has his good games. I really haven't played him much at all in the playoffs. Now, on a single game showdown slate, where we don't really have many options to choose from, obviously John Collins is in play today, but he's probably going to be someone I avoid on the slate. I don't really like paying this price tag for Collins. I just don't think he's a guy you really ever have to pay up for. He's just not someone that has massive upside. I know he's had some good games, and he was pretty good in the Philly series, but this is someone that still has a low floor, can put up 20, 25 DK points any night. I'm not that interested in Collins today. I don't think he's going to be someone I really get to on this showdown slate. Now, Kevin Huerter at 7,200 was really, really good those last two games against Philly. 44 minutes, 40 minutes. Like, he's been playing massive minutes. 43, 42 DK points. He's been scoring really good. I mean, he's been scoring really well, like taking a ton of shots. The price is getting up there, but I don't think we're getting 40 minutes from Kevin Huerter, but I do think he plays probably 34, 35 minutes. With DeAndre Hunter done for the year and out for the season, I mean, the minutes should be secure for Kevin Huerter. We will need to keep an eye on some of these injuries, though, for Atlanta. So Kevin Huerter right now, he's probable, so I expect he plays. But Bogdan Bogdanovic and Cam Reddish is questionable. So Cam Reddish has not played in forever. Last time he played was in February. Hasn't played at all in the playoffs. It's been like 4 months since he's played. Even if Cam Reddish plays today, I think he will be on a very, very strict minutes limit. Probably he'll play like 10 minutes, maybe less than that. I don't think if he comes back, I don't think that really impacts Herter too much. But I think if Bogdanovic is out again, or like if Bogdanovic sits, so Bogdanovic has played these last few games, but he's kind of been limited. Like he hasn't played his full minutes. I don't know if he re-injured his knee or just if he wasn't fully healthy last game, but he only played 21 minutes that game. One of these games, I think it was game 5, he was in foul trouble. But the last 2 games, he definitely has been on a sort of limit. Like he just hasn't been fully healthy, it seems like. He's a game time decision for today. We don't know if he's going to play yet. If he gets ruled out, I feel really good that Kevin Herter plays close to 40 minutes because I think no Bogdanovic is going to secure those minutes for Herter. If Bogdanovic plays and he's full go, he could be interesting. That would obviously take some minutes away from Herter. But I do have some interest in Kevin Herter. Now, with the price tag up, I don't think he's like a clear top player or anything. But, as the last piece in, I'm totally fine playing him. If he continues to get these big minutes like he's been getting, I mean, he's got upside, and we've kind of seen that these last few games. Now, Brook Lopez, another guy that I just don't really like playing, just doesn't have much upside. Again, he was kind of playing massive minutes in the Brooklyn series, especially late in that series. I don't expect Brook Lopez plays anywhere near, he got 46 minutes in Game 7 against Brooklyn. Like, I don't think he plays anywhere near that today. I think, obviously, overtime helped him then, but I think we probably get like 30 to 35 minutes from Lopez, and probably somewhere in that range. At 6,800, like even 35 minutes from Brook Lopez, like he's just not that productive of a player on a point per minute basis to where I need to pay the salary for him. I think I'd rather just go to Kevin Herter. Like Bogdanovic, even if Bogdanovic is, like if he's healthy, if we get word that Bogdanovic is playing, then I probably would take him over Brook Lopez. Now, the only issue with Bogdanovic is we just don't know what his health is right now. He played last game, but clearly he was not 100%. He didn't close. He only played 21 minutes. Assuming he plays today, though, and he's full go, at 6,400, I think Bogdanovic is someone we can definitely look to. I think he's going to be lower owned because, of how much he's been struggling lately. But so far in the playoffs, when he's been healthy, he's been playing big minutes. Like, he's been getting 35 to 40 minutes a night. He has shown some upside. He's not he's not a high upside guy, but, if you're getting close to 40 minutes from Bogdanovic, he definitely can give you 35, 36 DK points, which is pretty good at his salary. So keep an eye on his status. Obviously, if he's out, that definitely gives a big boost to Kevin Herter, who I would like a lot more. But if Bogdanovic is able to play and he's not limited or anything, he might be a little bit risky just because we don't really know if he's going to be fully healthy or not, if he is playing. Obviously, last game he wasn't fully healthy, even though he did play. At 6,400, he's somewhat cheap. I'd be willing to kind of take a shot on him and just hope that he's fully healthy, hope that he plays his full minutes, because if he does, he could definitely outscore a lot of the guys priced around him. Brook Lopez, Gallo, Herter, he could outscore a lot of those guys, or pretty much all those guys. So I do like Bogdanovic if he plays today. I think I'm fine taking the risk on him, even if he may not be 100%. But then Gallo you have at 6K. I think Gallo has also kind of been benefiting from Bogdanovic's injury. He closed the last game. He played 30 minutes. If Bogdanovic gets ruled out, I do like Gallo a lot more because I think Gallo would probably play close to 30 minutes. They might even start him. I don't know what they're going to do with the starting lineup if Bogdanovic sits, but there's a good chance that Gallo would move into the starting lineup. That would make me feel even better about his minutes. But at 6K, I think if Bogdanovic plays, I'll probably be avoiding Gallo. Like at his price tag, he's kind of been priced up to a point where I don't have a ton of interest in him if Bogdan's in. But if Bogdan's out, I think we do get around 30 minutes from Gallo, which would make him pretty appealing at 6K. Now, if Bogdan plays, maybe he plays a few less minutes, which obviously wouldn't make him as appealing, with his price coming up to where it is. Cam Reddish, though, like I said, even if he plays today, I think he plays very strict minutes limit, probably like 10 minutes or less. I don't see him playing that much. Now, PJ Tucker's kind of interesting. So he was kind of needed in the Brooklyn series. They really needed his defense against Kevin Durant. I don't know how many minutes PJ Tucker plays here. Like, pretty much his main job in that Brooklyn series was to guard Kevin Durant. Now, Atlanta doesn't really have a Kevin Durant that they can, they have Trae Young, obviously, but Drew Holiday can guard Trae Young. PJ Tucker, they're not going to need his defense against John Collins. John Collins is just not that elite of a scorer like Kevin Durant is, obviously. So I don't think PJ Tucker plays as many minutes as he was in the Brooklyn series. I think his minutes will be cut a little bit, which definitely, for Showdown probably makes me kind of, not that interested in him. And on Prize Picks, his projection right now is 14 fantasy points. that feels like a pretty accurate projection if he does play like 30 minutes, but I don't think he's going to play 30 minutes. Like, I think there's a good chance he plays less than that just because he's not going to be as needed here. Like, we could see more minutes for Pat Connaughton. We could see more minutes for Bryn Forbes, who I have some interest in too. So I kind of like the under 14 fantasy points on PJ Tucker, just given this matchup and just given that he, probably doesn't play as many minutes. Just I don't think they need him as much in this series for, defensive reasons. There's not that elite scorer that he needs to go and defend. Trae Young obviously is an elite scorer, but like I said, Drew Holiday can match up with Trae Young. So for me, I don't see really any interest in PJ Tucker. He's already a pretty low upside guy, and if his minutes might get cut a little bit, that definitely makes me even less interested in him. Now, Milwaukee, they were running a very, very tight rotation towards the end of the Brooklyn series. I think in Game 6 and Game 7, they ran like a 6 or 7-man rotation. Bryn Forbes did get some minutes off the bench, but he was barely playing, only 11 minutes, 5 minutes. But like at the beginning of the Brooklyn series, he was getting pretty good run. 22 minutes in the first 2 games against Brooklyn. In the Miami series, he was consistently getting around 20 minutes. I think Milwaukee is going to kind of lengthen their rotation a little bit today. I don't expect them to run a 6-man or 7-man rotation. I think they're going to probably run 8 or 9 guys today. Like, I think Bryn Forbes gets back to playing 15 to 20 minutes, which definitely makes him a viable cheap option on Showdown at 3,200. Also, it makes me like his over on Prize Picks. Right now, his projection on Prize Picks is only 6 fantasy points. I think we get 15, 20 minutes from Bryn Forbes. I think Milwaukee runs a little bit of a deeper rotation today. And 6 fantasy points, I mean, Bryn Forbes can easily eclipse that if he does get around 15, 20 minutes. So I like the over on Bryn Forbes. That's another pick I'm kind of looking to on Prize Picks right now. Just kind of first look. And another guy, Bobby Portis, we saw him get pretty much cut out of the rotation those last 2 or 3 games against Brooklyn. I expect he gets back into the rotation now. Is that a guarantee? No, that's not a guarantee. But Bobby Portis was a pretty consistent bench guy for Milwaukee. He was consistently playing 10 to 15 minutes off the bench. I think with Milwaukee just tightening their rotation those last few games against Brooklyn, I think that obviously impacted Portis. He got pretty much cut out. I don't think he gets cut out in this series. I think he's going to be back in the rotation at least for the first few games, and then maybe if this series goes 6 or 7 games, then maybe they'll cut Portis out of the rotation towards the end of the series. But normally we do see at the beginning of these series teams will run deeper rotations. Guys might not play as many minutes as they were in Game 6 and Game 7, a previous series. So I think we get Bobby Portis back in the rotation. I think he plays 10 to 15 minutes, which makes him a decent value at 2,400. We know Portis can be productive when he's on the floor. We know he can average a fantasy point per minute, so I do like him a lot as a value play. Pat Connaughton as well consistently was getting low 20s minutes. He was pretty much the one Brooklyn guy off the bench, or the one Milwaukee guy off the bench you felt good about in the Brooklyn series. He was consistently getting the minutes. I don't think anything's going to change here. I think we get 15, 20 minutes from Pat Connaughton, which also makes him a viable cheap punt option at 2,200. If you really want to go full stars and scrubs, which has kind of been the way to go so far in these showdown slates, if you want to jam in those top guys, Giannis, Trae, Middleton, then going to someone like Connaughton is probably going to be necessary. So I do like Connaughton and Portis as punt options. I think Bryn Forbes is viable too. But that's probably it for the showdown player pool. I don't see anyone else I really like. I mean, Lou Williams I didn't mention, but he probably plays 10 to 15 minutes. Again, Lou Williams, he has upside if he comes off the bench and starts knocking down shots. He can maybe play a few more minutes. Bogdanovich gets ruled out. I do want to talk about that. If Bogdanovich sits, I think Lou Williams is a really, really good value because I think there would be more minutes available for him. So keep an eye on that. But if Bogdanovich plays and he's full go, we'll probably just get 10, 12 minutes from Lou Will, which 2,600 doesn't make him a very appealing option, but I guess it's at least still viable because we at least know Lou Will is going to step on the floor. We just really don't know how many minutes he exactly plays. But yeah, that does it for the showdown slate. I think we kind of covered all the playable guys I like. For me, definitely like Giannis at the top. I think I want to try and pay up for Giannis at captain if I can. And to fit Giannis in at captain, I'm looking to guys like Bobby Portis, who I think does get minutes today. Pat Connaughton as value options. Bryn Forbes, I have some interest in as well. Those mid-tier guys we talked about, Middleton, Clint Capella, I'm kind of high on. I don't think a ton of people are going to play Clint Capella here, but I think it's a much better matchup for Capella. I think he could have more success in this series than he did in the in the Philly series and then against the Knicks as well. So that's kind of the way I'm approaching this showdown slate. We talked about pretty much the entire player pool. We talked about some guys I like on Prize Picks as well, some early picks I like over there. Again, guys, if you have not checked out Prize Picks yet, you do want to check out Prize Picks and see what they have to offer. Be sure to use promo code Noah when you do sign up. Get that 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. If you do decide to deposit $100, Prize Picks, they will match that, give you an additional $100 to play with. So if you want to tail me on these 3 picks and do, a little power play, like if you get all 3 of these picks right, that pays out 5x. So even if you throw just, let's say, $50 on this, that would pay out $250 if all these picks, go correct. So you can check out Prize Picks, maybe tail me or fade me, whatever you want to do, and kind of make some picks for yourself. But I appreciate you guys watching the video. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to click that like button down below, click that subscribe button as well, and also hit the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload, and you also do get notified every time I live stream. Again, guys, I should be live again later this afternoon, probably around 5:30 or 6 o'clock Eastern time. If you guys do want to come and hang out, I'll be live breaking down the slate and answering all your guys' questions as always. But best of luck on the slate. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it, guys. Hope you win tonight. Best of luck. We'll see you in the next one.